Joining me now is Senator Alex Padilla. He's the Democrat from California. Let's start with some of the picks President-elect Trump has announced this week, Senator. We had breaking news in the past hour that Trump intends to name fossil fuel executive Chris Wright as his energy secretary. Wright has been an outspoken supporter of oil and gas drilling, including fracking. This comes as some of Trump's other choices face serious questions about their qualifications and their fitness, including Matt Gaetz as Attorney General, Fox News host Pete Hegseth as Secretary of Defense, and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. at Health and Human Services. The incoming Senate Majority Leader, John Thune, has said all options are on the table to get Trump the team he wants as quickly as possible, including perhaps recess appointments that would sidestep the confirmation process. What are Democrats prepared to do in response?
Well, good to be back with you, Reverend. What are Democrats prepared to do in response? Whatever it takes, not just to uphold the Constitution of the United States, but the interest of the people here. Donald Trump is way beyond making a mockery of what an incoming president should be doing, regardless of who's in the majority of Congress. And it's one thing to have policy disagreements, but the examples that you laid out, whether it's Tulsi Gabbard having privy to the most sensitive intelligence information when she has sided with the leaders of Syria and Russia and others, is undermining our national security. The selection of Matt Gaetz, are you kidding me? As potential Attorney General of the United States. You make reference to this ethics report. That's just the beginning of it. This is not a guy who's gotten in trouble for stealing bubblegum, right? The accusations against him, the witnesses and evidence against him has to do with sex trafficking of minors, among other things. So these are people who are far from being qualified to be in the position that Donald Trump wants.
Let me stop you right there, because you're on Judiciary Committee. On the topic of Trump's pick for Attorney General, NBC is reporting tonight that a majority of Senate Republicans doubt Matt Gaetz will be confirmed as Attorney General, according to sources. Yesterday, House Speaker Mike Johnson asked that the House Ethics Committee not release its report on Matt Gaetz's conduct while in Congress. He also said he'd block the Senate Judiciary, on which you sit, from viewing the report's investigation of allegations of misconduct on Gaetz's part, including the possible sex trafficking of a minor that you referred to. A federal investigation brought no charges against Gaetz, who has denied all wrongdoing. Still, he has resigned just before the report was slated to be released. Senator, if there's nothing damaging in the report, why won't they let it out? And what can the Senate do to get their hands on it?
Well, that's what I've been saying now for days. What are they afraid of? Whether it's by not releasing the report, which is relevant if we're going to consider this nomination, or B, we hear that President-elect Trump is going around the traditional FBI background check and vetting for his nominees, with the Senate is going to consider them. So I think there's two things at play here. Number one, we need to get not just the report that was on the verge of being released, but any supporting evidence, documentation, and I think we'd be more than happy to hear from witnesses that were part of that process. But at the same time, we cannot let Senate Republicans off the hook. This is a major test of them. Are they loyal to Donald Trump, or are they loyal to the Constitution and their oath of office? I've seen the reports, too, that there's many Republicans who don't think Gaetz will be confirmed. I need to hear that in public, because to say it behind closed doors, off the record, is one thing, but the big test will be when these unqualified nominees are before us. Are they willing to stand up to Trump and vote no?
Now, staying with Gates, the former Florida congressman has long been associated with efforts to change, to rewrite history about January 6th, pushing unfounded claims about federal agitators in the crowd. He has also taken up the case of January 6th defendants who claim they've been mistreated, including those held in the D.C. jail. According to Just Security, nearly all of these inmates have been charged with assaulting law enforcement officers. President Trump has spoken about pardoning these prisoners, even calling them hostages. What kind of signal would that send to the American people?
Again, for a party that claims to be the party of law enforcement and respect for the rule of law, they're doing anything but. January 6th was not a walk in the park. It was a day where there was a violent, deadly insurrection in our nation's capital, and everybody involved with that violence has to be held to account. The legal system has been working. Many people have been convicted, and they're serving a variety of sentences. So for President Trump to come in and just pardon everybody is an affront and the ultimate disrespect to the women and men in law enforcement that were, serving and sacrificing so much on that very, very dark day in our nation's history.
Now, while we have a little bit of time, Senator, in the lead up to Trump returning to the White House, Democratic lawmakers are doing what they can to protect their states, and that includes you and California Governor Gavin Newsom. What are you going to do, and how are you doing it?
Right. Well, look, I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say we know Donald Trump has it in for California, and there's nothing that he would love to do better than scrape back a lot of the federal funds that have come to the state of California and undo the policies that we're trying to lead on, whether it's access to health care, whether it's environmental protection, whether it's protecting a woman's right to choose, or anything else. And so we are working, Governor Newsom and I, with the Biden administration to lock in some of these policy changes, let California continue to lead on providing more health care for more people, what we're doing to clean the air, provide clean water for Californians. And the biggest example is really the disaster relief that we deserve for the wildfires and the floods that have ravaged California in recent years. So we want to pin that money down so Donald Trump can't claw it back while we brace ourselves for 4 years of an antagonistic Trump administration.
All right. Thanks to California Senator Alex Padilla.